Hey, and welcome back. So I'm really excited to share with you the Path2Product portfolio canvas. Okay, this is meant to guide you through the course and be an executive summary for anyone who's looking at this, right? So when you share this with your resume, your cover letter, when you put this under your LinkedIn profile under projects, or in the description when you put Path2Product as a product management intern or product manager, however you use and leverage Path2Product to showcase your skills, I want you to be able to link this there, right? And so before we start going through this, you won't be able to directly edit this, or you shouldn't be able to if my settings are correct, because this is my template document. If I see changes here, I'll know that my settings are off. But you should be able to go to File and then go to Make a Copy, an entire presentation, and then it's yours. So that copy document will be fully editable, and then you can come through here. So as you choose the company and the product that you're going to manage through this course, you'll list that here. You can put a logo of the company here, of the product, just to kind of dress it up a little bit. But let's start to break this down, right? So you're going to first identify the vision and mission of the company that you're PMing for in this course. Okay. If there's some companies that have a vision but not a mission, or a mission and not a vision, if that's the case, that's fine. You can just remove one of these and kind of slide the boxes over, which is totally cool. Yeah, because you don't want to have like blank boxes in here. So just put what you can find. And then for the goal, we're going to go through this again through the video, but if there's a goal the company has stated, list that. If not, you can create your own company goal. Just make sure it ties back to that mission and or vision. Okay. And then market research is the next section. So the key things that you want to take away here are 2 or 3 of the key competitors. How are you different, and what are your core advantages compared to them? And we'll talk about how to find that. And then market direction, right? So this is really around trends in the overall macro market, and any links to source information or source documents that you find, link that in here. So that way that can be found. The problems you identify, list the top 3 problems as determined by your prioritization method, right? And then as you do your user interviews, you'll want to record those. You can convert those into YouTube videos, make those into Vimeo links, or however you want to link that in here. Make sure you link those videos and then link to your user interview guide, whether that's a Google Doc or any kind of other shareable document that you can link in here. So that way hiring managers can go through and see the prep work you did and the actual skills that you have in executing user interviews. All right, and then we get to prioritization. So which one did you choose? Why did you choose it? And then there's going to be a lot of detail that goes into this. You could be using RICE frameworks or other prioritization frameworks, or you could just have some open text thoughts that you want to share about key assumptions that you made behind this prioritization, right? Because you're not going to have all the data that an internal product manager would have at this company. So you're going to have to make some assumptions, and you're going to want to call those out. So make sure that the raw data from how you prioritize, wow, if I could talk, as well as the key assumptions that you made, make sure that's those raw documents and that raw data is linked here, with the summary being here. All right, and then the frameworks you used. So yeah, that can, again, these can kind of overlap a little bit, but if you want to divide those up of key assumptions, and then here you list, I used the RICE framework, and here's the link to a document showing how I did the prioritization using the RICE method, that would be great. And then you kind of save room. All right, so going to the second half of it, now that we've prioritized the problem we want to solve, we go into the solution, right? And so you can describe the solution, give it like a concise, clear description. And this is what's beautiful about the limited room here, is it's going to train you to be very concise and concrete, which is going to really help in your communication skill, especially written communication. So if some of these become a little too small, you can play with it as you're editing it. You can maybe make a third slide. I like to try to keep it at 2, just for the sake of brevity when you're trying to put this in front of a product leader who would bring you in for an interview. The less they have to look at, the better and more likely they are to look through it all. Okay, so you want to insert the link to your mock-ups, your user flow diagrams, and or prototypes to describe your solution. So you might use all 3, you might not. You might use Figma, you might use something else. I use Figma throughout this course. It's free, it's really powerful, but you may be familiar or have access to something else already, totally fine. Your desirability test, how did you run those tests? What types of tests did you use? And then links to those interviews and the test plan as you prepped for this. And same thing with usability test, right? So how did you validate those, that solution? That's really here, okay? And then we go to product team planning. Okay, so we have like the internal, like you, the developer, the UX designer, your boss. How are you planning within the product team itself? Right? So the first thing we cover is feasibility assessment. How heavy of a lift would this be? And then how did you determine this and call out some assumptions, right? You may have developer friends or go to a developer group or find a developer on LinkedIn or Facebook and just chat with them if they have some kind of domain expertise around the thing that you're trying to do, right? Or you might just make assumptions based on, hey, this is just a copy change, or hey, this is a whole like UX redesign, or or this is some complex thing, this is going to be a heavy lift. Or it could just be like, hey, it's a new feature, but we're going to just experiment in this small way, kind of like I did with Figma. So the lift, might be like a week's worth of work, and so we're going to um, we're going to say that this is X level of feasibility based on whatever feasibility framework that you're using, right? I think I talk about the like the shirt size method where it's small, medium, large, or you could do like the 1 through 5 and put like a time frame that correlates with each number. But again, we go through that in the course. So moving on to user stories. Again, this is product team planning because in the user stories, this is what your designers use to design off of based on the specific criteria around the designs, and you really collaborate with them to determine that. So they should know it anyway, but you still call it out in the user stories because the developers have to actually implement it, which is ultimately who these are for, right? Is the developers to actually go and build the solution. And so you can link to Trello if you use that, or any kind of external doc with full acceptance criteria, or any other tool that you can link to that has public viewable access to your user stories. And then success metrics, right? There is no success if you don't define what success looks like from the beginning, which we cover. And so you're going to list out the metrics that you'd be tracking, the key performance indicators that you'd be tracking to determine success or failure. And then if there's any key assumptions you've made or any other like detail or thoughts you want to put around these metrics, link those in a Google Doc or something. So that way that can be, someone can deep dive into your mind basically behind why you determine these as your success metrics. And then lastly, cross-functional planning. Okay. So the first thing I want you to be able to show hiring managers is, do you know who this is going to impact? And who should you be talking to as you're planning this feature launch or this product launch? So list out, it could be 3, it could be more, it could be less, but is marketing going to have to do something with this? Is this going to affect how a sales sells it? Is this a new feature that they can sell? Who else is this going to impact, right? Outside of the obvious, like developers and the UX designers and data scientists, or anyone else who might, have to do something on the product development side. How is this going to impact your cross-functional partners? Okay, finance and anyone around them or around those areas. And then collaboration. What information will these impacted departments need from you? Okay, so are there changes that might impact how pricing is done, or are there, test environments that you need to do like A/B testing? Do you need to have that set up? Do you need do you need a marketing campaign for this? And like, but what information are they going to need from you in terms of like what's changing about the product? What's different? What's better? What's new? So anything around that, around like, how can you help the other departments do their job better? You put that here. And then lastly, what information or data will you need from the other business functions to help determine success, right? Are you going to need qualitative data around, let's say your sales team does demos in an enterprise setting, okay, in B2B. What feedback are they getting from these clients with the changes that you made as compared to what they were getting before? Let's say like you're implementing the software in a B2B setting because it's like enterprise software and you have implementers that are implementing on behalf of the customer. What, what information do you need from them about like getting set up? Or it, I don't know, there's a lot of different examples I can give you, whether you're running like a sales-led model, a product-led model, or it's a consumer business. I could probably sit here for a long time just giving examples from each one of those. But going through this process, you'll probably need information or data coming back from the other departments to help define whether or not you're successful. So it could be support tickets, it could be reviews on the mobile app. I mean, there's endless numbers of things that you're going to need access to or feedback on, right? And then the other thing is how can the other functions help you obtain client or user feedback? So that's kind of what I was talking about before, whether it's through the sales process, implementation, user onboarding, um, support, anything around there. Like, talk through how you would collaborate with those departments to help you get the right feedback that you need to iterate and make more informed decisions after the initial launch. So again, this will probably require you to maybe put some bullet points and then link out to a Word doc kind of expressing a deeper thought around that. Because again, hiring managers really care about how you think, right? This is they call they call us knowledge workers in tech a lot, and in things that aren't really like hands-on, but more like requires deep thought. They call us knowledge workers for a reason. And so especially in the product sphere, hiring managers want to know how you think. They want to know your process for things. And so linking to these Word docs in all of these to show assumptions and to show detail, that's going to be helpful. Whether or not they go through and read it depends on how interested they are based on the type of work that you do in these high level bullet points that you give, right? And so the quality of what you put in these boxes is really important to make them want to drill down into the details. So best of luck. I hope this framework works well for you. And if you have any feedback on things that aren't working well with this framework, or just suggestions of how to make it better, again, I'm a product manager too, and I would love the feedback in the same way that I'm telling you that you should ask for feedback. So eating my own dog food in the practice of product management, I look forward to hearing from you and iterating on this to make this better, to help you be more successful in your path to product.